I did a video earlier on the basics of firearms and guns and SHTF, and it was a bit chunky. It was a large, long video, and it was kind of clunky. I wasn't satisfied with it, so I cut it up, did a little editing, and then canned it. So this is now the shorter, abridged version, and I'm giving you just the meat off the bones. Here we go. Firearms are a wide-ranging subject, and there is a level of complexity within the firearm world. But there are some basic, simple, easy to do understanding things when it comes to firearms. And 4 basic rules with firearms, when followed, can prevent a lot of what we see in the news when it comes to tragedies and accidents and things of that sort. This is Urban Sentinel. Let's get into it. There are 4 rules that govern the safe operation, handling, and use of firearms. When all 4 rules are followed, never a problem. When one rule is broken, it opens the door up for an accident to happen, and then we wonder, how did this occur? It's because one of the rules wasn't followed. Let's start with the beginning. Rule number 1, treat every firearm as if it were loaded. It doesn't matter that you can see that there are no cartridges in the chambers in this cylinder. You treat every firearm as if it were loaded, period. That's the first most important rule, because human beings, we are creatures of habit. How many people drive, take the bus, walk to work, school? You take the same route, you see the same things at the same time every single day. Then one day, you realize that something's changed, something's different. Was a tree cut down on the corner? When did they put that yellow flashing light on? How long have these lines been painted? You start to think to yourself, has it always been like this, or did this just happen? It's that level of routine complacency that accidents occur. If you treat every firearm as if it were loaded all the time, you will never have that question, is it or is it not? Because your mind will automatically assume it is loaded, irregardless of what you just saw a second earlier. Treat it as if it were loaded. Number 2, keep your finger off the trigger. Keeping your finger off the trigger, that's another key thing. You may have heard the term, keep your booger hook off the bang switch. It's a nice, easy way to remember, because that is a guaranteed way that if an accident is going to happen, that's what's going to be it. Putting your finger on the trigger unnecessarily, putting your finger on the trigger when you are not prepared to fire, under any condition. Doesn't matter if you're at the shooting range, doesn't matter if you hear a bump in the night and you're going to check it out. Keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to fire. That will reduce, again, chances of an accidental discharge. Minimized. Finger off the trigger. Uncomfortable? Yeah. Never point it at anything you don't intend to destroy. When you're in possession of a firearm, you are responsible for everything that happens with that firearm. You don't point it at something that you're not prepared to destroy. If you're at a shooting range and you're shooting at targets, you don't point it left, right, up, or down. You point it downrange at the target. If you're using a firearm for self-defense, you don't point it at other people that you don't intend to shoot. Plain and simple. You watch where that muzzle goes, because once that bullet leaves, there's no coming back. And it's going to keep going until it hits something that's going to stop it. And it may not be the target that you intend. It may be an accident because you had your finger on the trigger and you weren't paying attention. Be aware of your target and what's beyond it. Plain and simple. Be aware of your target, the thing that you're shooting at, but also what is beyond it, what's near it, what's behind it. Because once that bullet leaves, there's no bringing it back. Whether you hit the target and it passes through, or you miss the target, you need to be aware of who and what is around that area. 5 feet, 15 feet, 50 feet, 500 feet, doesn't matter. Your responsibility when you let these things go is to find out where they're going to head and who's going to be in trouble when it reaches the other side. Because one round can fly and it can go far beyond where you think that it will go. Even if it's hit the intended target, it may pass through and continue moving. So, running back through the numbers. Treat every firearm as if it were loaded. Keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to fire. Never point the firearm at anything you're not ready to destroy. Always be aware of your target and what's beyond it. Those 4 simple basic rules can prevent many of the accidents that happen. Many cases when you hear the news reports about someone was accidentally shot or a firearm discharged, it's because of one of those things. Are there cases where firearms do have mechanical malfunctions? Yes, absolutely. They're a mechanical device, no different than an automobile. There are times where a firearm that has been manufactured either from the manufacturer or someone making some type of modification, repair, or adjustment, it doesn't work out. And yes, those are cases where the gun goes off on its own. But those are rare cases. Most of the time, when the gun goes off on its own, it's because someone wasn't paying attention, didn't treat the firearm as if it were loaded, and had their finger on the trigger. Or, in some cases, something got into the trigger guard and depressed the trigger. It happens. But being able to stay focused and remember that what you're doing with that firearms at all times will have an effect on you and everyone around you. So for those of you unfamiliar with firearms, with no firearms experience or exposure, honestly, go out, find an instructor, find a training class, take a course, get familiar with firearms, learn the basics, learn how to safely operate and handle a firearm. You're not obligated to own one, but to have that knowledge, you'll be better off for it. You got to remember this. Our day and age right now, the way things are, you are most likely going to be your first, last, and best defense. And having the knowledge on how to use a firearm for that purpose makes it a better situation for you. So as I said in the beginning of the video, I did my original video, canned it, breaking this up into smaller videos. So more than likely at the end of this one, there's going to be a card, and probably I'll throw a end screen link up to the other videos as they come out during the next couple of hours. That's it for now. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.